It's my bedtime. But yeah, it's well past my bedtime actually. But I've just been trying to talk some sense into some idiot on Twitter about this abortion law, right? Now, here's the text of the amendment that's been voted on. This is what's been voted through, right? Removal of women from the criminal law related to abortion for the purposes of law related to abortion, including sections 58 and 59 of the Offences Against a Person Act 1861 and the Infant Life Preservation Act of 1929. No offences committed by a woman acting in relation to her own pregnancy. Okay, so, me being me and not being in the least bit stupid, the first thing that struck me is that this has actually been put in as a removal of women from a criminal law related to abortion. Now, my first thought about that was, you can't do that. You can't use a statute law to exempt someone from criminal law. You can't. It's that's against everybody. That's against everyone's human rights. If this is allowed to go through, we haven't got any rights anymore. I can make the case here. I can just here we go. Where are we? Let's just find the right page. This one. Hang on, I'm on the wrong screen. This one. Here we go. This is what Grok says. The UK government cannot. I say I'm right. I do know the law. I'm pretty good at it. I'd never call myself a lawyer because, well, I'd never make any money at it because I usually tell people if they've done it to confess and to beg for mercy. And nobody ever gets paid any money for legal advice like that, even though it's the best advice. Did you do it? Yeah. Well, you want to plead guilty and beg for mercy? Come up with some story or excuse and mitigation. If you plead guilty, you can stand there for 3 hours explaining why you did it. Why don't you try? Because that's all you fucking got. I give excellent legal advice, but no, if lawyers give the same legal advice as me, they'd never make any money. Because I tell people to confess. I tell people to beg for mercy if they're guilty. Like, there ain't no games. There ain't no, I don't play games like that. But in the past, I have saved some people. Saved some people's driving licenses. Many people's driving licenses where they've said, oh, I'm going to get a lawyer to try and beat this drink driving charge. And I'm like, no, go in, beg for mercy and say you need your car to take your kids to school and you'll be out of work if you can't drive. Tell them you lose your kids. Tell them you lose your wife. Tell them you lose your job. Tell them you lose your home and cry your eyes out and say how sorry you are. And you might get a lighter sentence. Especially if you were only like a piss over the limit. You were a couple of points over. You can actually go in and plead guilty and get away with it. If you explain as to look, I didn't do this on purpose. I didn't do it deliberately. And without my car, I will lose my life. And you can make that case. And it's like a friend of mine was losing his license for being breathalyzed asleep in a vehicle, which is, he fucked. And I told him to do that. Says, tell him that you'll lose your missus and your kids. Tell him you'll lose your job and your livelihood, which is true. It was all true. You know what I mean? It was all true. And he says, "What do you?" And he went. His dad paid about £1,000 to consult with this really, really top lawyer, and this really, really top lawyer spun them a yarn that they could sue the police or make it go away by complaining that the police didn't follow the correct arrest procedures, and it's bullshit. And then when they got to court on the day, his expensive lawyer told him to do exactly what I told him to do. But while he was being paid £300 an hour, he was willing to come up with any kind of fucking bullshit to tell them what to do. And I'm like, in the end, that old mate of mine was angry at me for being right. but wasn't angry at the solicitor who took £1,000 off his father to hear the story. Isn't it amazing how the law works? One of the great grifts. It's like, in most situations you'll find yourself in life, you don't need a lawyer. You just need to understand the law and where you stand. You need to know your rights. You don't have to be a lawyer. You need to know your rights. If you know your rights, you don't need a lawyer. Only time you ever really need a lawyer is if you're dodgy about these coppers and you want someone to bear witness. That's when you need a lawyer. And you need your lawyer and not their lawyer. But if you haven't got a lawyer of your own anyway, you haven't got someone retained, well, you haven't got a lawyer. They'll provide you with a fucking idiot who will not do as you instruct him. Just saying, the law is a thing. Now, I understand the separations of law between statute law and criminal law. It's like an MP can say whatever he wants in the House of Parliament without getting sued. But an MP, when he punches a member of the general public, he goes on trial for assault. No one's above the law, no one at all. And to craft a law that exempts one group of people from a law, because the law's still on the books, and if a man kills a baby, like if you accidentally run over a woman who's pregnant, or you kill a woman who's pregnant, they're going to do you for murdering the baby because you are a man. Because women have been, according to this new law, exempted from criminal law. Now, what does Grok have to say? The UK government cannot exempt a group from criminal law via parliamentary statute without violating core legal principles. This guy I was arguing with, I couldn't be arsed looking it up. I says, it goes back as far as Magna Carta. Now, this guy I was trying to talk some sense into, he didn't have a fucking clue what Magna Carta was. He didn't understand it was like an allegory as to why was the Magna Carta forged. Because the king thought himself above the law. And the Magna Carta made it so no one's above the law. So when I put, this law goes back a long time, and I put, open brackets, Magna Carta. It's got nothing to do with the Magna Carta. So no, it's got everything to do with the Magna Carta. We are all equal in the eyes of the law, regardless if you're a king or a peasant. That's the idea. That's what it's supposed to be. That is the legal system. And Labour have just thrown it away. It's like ensures everyone is subject to the law, and the European Rights Act 1998 incorporating the ECHR prohibits discrimination, Article 14. Such a law would likely face judicial challenges and be declared incompatible with human rights. No historical precedents exist for blanket exceptions. This has never been done before. Never been tried before to make one group of people exempt from all these laws. It's never been tried. I say, no historical precedents exist for blanket exceptions. Specific immunities like diplomatic immunity are limited and based on international law. I know something about that as well. I know that the highest law in the world is international treaty. And I also know that if you're on the sea, you're under admiralty law, which is altogether different again. Specific immunities like diplomatic immunities are limited and based on international law, not domestic statutes. Any attempt to pass such a law would likely be struck down or amended due to legal and ethical issues. Absolutely it will. This new Labour law should be able to be thrown out of court within a morning by simply making this case. Right? So I'm putting it to you. Labour, in their absolute incompetence, lack of skill, no research, and being this bill and its amendment to the law that they've written, right, was written by feminists, not lawyers. Feminists. And for ideological reasons. You can, the way they'll go back and they'll come up with another way of wording it, but this exempting women from criminal statutes, no. It doesn't matter if Parliament have voted that through, right? It just proves that they're all stupid and that none of them know what they're doing. And Would you be right in thinking that they're all stupid and they don't know what they're doing? Because it does appear that that might be the case, that these people are absolutely out of touch and bullshitters, not interested in going away and spending half an hour finding out if something's legal or not. Well, it took me, I had it off the top of my head. I'm like, they can't do that. And it's like, oh shit, John, yeah. When did you learn about statutes, John? Ooh, nearly 20 years ago. The difference between statute and criminal statute, civil law, which is what that is, and criminal law. It's like they are completely different jurisdictions. I mean, that's the thing. It's like this is not like a change of a statute. No, this is a change of criminal law. The law beat the thing that we're talking about being called infanticide, murder. That's criminal. If they can somehow make the case as to say that killing a baby is not murder, whoa, wow, what would the Supreme Court think of that? I'm just saying. I think this whole thing going through, it shows just how despicably evil they are. But then when you look into it and understand that this law isn't going to stand, it's not such a big deal, is it? It's just more proof that these guys are fucking idiots. So I looked up the statute. This guy was saying, says, no, this law hasn't done anything. The Infant Life Preservation Act of 1929 still counts. Well, truth is, it still counts for men. An act to amend the law with regard to the destruction of children at or before birth from 1929. Right, this is the law as stands now, as we understand it, and it's not unreasonable. It's like, don't kill your kids. Right, that's what this stands as. Do not kill your kids. And it has got safeguards in it. The law has got safeguards in it as to if there's a reason for it, if it can be, if it can be justified, you can do it. It's in there. It's actually got safeguards in it. This is a well-written law. Subject as hereinafter in this subsection provided, any person who, with intent to destroy life of a child capable of being born alive by any willful act, causes the child to die before it has an existence independent of its mother, shall be guilty of felony, to wit of child destruction, and shall be liable on conviction thereof on indictment to penal servitude for life, provided that no person shall be found guilty of an offence under this section unless it is proved that the act which caused the death of the child was not done in good faith for the purpose only of preserving the life of the mother. Bang! You've already got the law you need. That's as much as it needs to be. For purposes of this act, evidence that a woman had at any material time been pregnant for a period of 28 weeks or more shall be prima facie proof that she was at the time pregnant of a child capable of being born alive. It's got safeguards in it. See, it's not such a bad law, this, is it? Whereupon the trial of any person for the murder or manslaughter of any child, or for infanticide, or for an offence under section, I should wear my other glasses, shouldn't I want to do this, section 58 of the Offences Against the Person Act 1861, which relates to administering drugs or using instruments to procure abortion, the jury are of opinion that the person charged is not guilty of murder, manslaughter or infanticide, or of an offence under the said section 58, as the case may be, but he is shown by the evidence to be guilty of a felony of child destruction. The jury may find him guilty of that felony, and thereupon the person convicted shall be liable for punishment as if he had been convicted upon an indictment for child destruction. Whereupon a trial of any person for a felony of child destruction, the jury are of the opinion that the person charged is not guilty of that felony, but that he is shown by the evidence to be guilty of an offence under the section 58 of the Offences Against the Person Act 1861. The jury may find him guilty of that offence, and thereupon the person convicted shall be liable for the punishment as if he had been convicted upon the indictment of that section. say, this is a good law. So this chap on X, I've just been rattling to and forward. He's like, no, this law hasn't been changed. It's like, whatever the government have done, they haven't overridden this law. And I'm like, they have. So look at what they've passed, because this guy hadn't done the reading. He was just reacting to, he didn't like the person who brought the message. And here we go. To move the following clause. Removal of women from a criminal law related to abortion for the purposes of law against law related to abortion, including section 58 and 59 of the Offences Against the Person Act, and the Infant Life Preservation Act of 1929. This. Gone. A perfectly serviceable law. Edited so it can't apply to women. Does anyone get what I'm getting to with this? I think the Labour Party have just fucked up royally. I think they've made a terrible mistake. And I think the reason why people aren't talking about this right now being a terrible mistake is because they've stuffed this on us on one of the busiest news days of the year, when most people are talking about that the Labour Party in their inquiry against child abuse are not going to investigate councillors, MPs, the police. None of them are going to be included in the inquiry, which is the only thing that needs an inquiry. Criminal investigation of crimes is one thing, and an inquiry into what happened is another. But the government are not doing it. They're going to, as I said earlier on in my video, they're just going to brass it out and kick it into long grass. They are not going to investigate Labour councils. Absolutely not. The word doesn't come out from them, but it's come out from people who would know. First one on the case, Dominic Cummings, saying there is absolutely no way that they're going to investigate the Westminster cover-up, because all the people involved with it are still there, because they're all just permanent government, not anything to do with the parties. Those who covered this up are permanent government, like the council workers are. Unsackable. Can't really even be disciplined. And none of them are going to be investigated or punished. It's like, say, if this was a normal day for news, by now the legal YouTubers would be all over this. But they're not, are they? Because Labour have used their own cataclysmic failure as a smokescreen to pass this. It's like, you wouldn't believe it true, would you?